Absolutely.
So if you don't mind, I think we're just going to get started.
Okay,
Yeah,
go
because
right ahead.
Can you tell me what the format is?
Yeah, so the format is really quite informal.
Okay.
Because it's a video format.
Yep.
We're going to record this,
Good.
and then I'll put it up on the social media page. And John, if you wanted to put it up on the Brookfield page too, if
Sure.
that's okay.
Sure.
Whatever, because I think it provides an opportunity for parents to, I think getting ready for school to learn a little bit more about, the process.
Absolutely.
And I know that Brookfield has done a really great job of keeping parents informed. So I think many parents are really aware of what the process is going to look like. But it's just good to reiterate some things. And
No, this is a great forum. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It forced me to do something like this, Steve. So I'm happy to do it for you.
Well,
Yep.
I appreciate you being here and taking the time. So let's see, just 1 second before we get started.
Is it just Fran and me that are on?
Yes, just
okay.
The two of you and myself. And I think, Fran, maybe if you wanted to start out the conversation and just kind of go over a little bit of an overview of what you do and, what you've been doing statewide during this time and, the guidance from the state and everything else, just kind of doing an overview of that. And then we'll go into maybe John about specifics to Brookfield, and then I'll say a few words and then maybe ask some questions if that's okay.
Okay, that's great. That's what's been happening on the other ones as well, Steve.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
Steve, what are we thinking? About a half an hour, Steve? What are we thinking?
Yeah, it should. I would think a half an hour is more than. Yeah.
Great.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thanks. I'm ready.
Okay. So, Fran, if you want to start, that I really appreciate that.
Yep, I will. So I just want to thank you, Senator Harding, for inviting me here today. I'm Fran Rabinowitz. I'm the Executive Director of the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents. My job is to support the superintendents and represent them at the State Department of Ed and at the legislature, in the governor's office, et cetera. And also to bring together a consensus of what they think and recommend and bring that forward. So obviously this has been a very tough time for everyone in Connecticut and nationwide and worldwide during the COVID crisis. I have this wonderfully positive feeling. I mean, I see the glass half full. I think we're on the other side of it. I think we're moving out, and we'll have a vaccine, and we will be in good shape. I hesitate to say back to normal because I don't think we'll ever be back to where we were. We'll be in a different place, but it will be a strong, healthy place. So over the last months, we've been working through the state plan as to how we were going to reopen schools to make it the very best experience it could be for our children, keeping in mind the health and safety of every single child and the wishes of the families as they come forward. Honestly, we've gone the full spectrum. We thought perhaps it will be remote. So superintendents had a plan for fully remote, fully distance learning. We planned for hybrid, partially in, partially at home learning. And we planned for full in if that was possible, especially at some grade levels. As it turns out right now, given our metrics and given our mitigating strategies such as social distancing, PPE equipment, transportation, safety, all of that, 95% of districts are in a hybrid. What that means is, for the most part, they're coming in. One group is coming in Monday, Tuesday. The other group is streaming learning remotely through streaming at home, and then they're reversing. And on Wednesdays, everyone is distance learning in order to provide a deep cleaning of the building. I think it was wise to have 3 different plans because we don't know when we'll be able to move to full in and or distance learning totally. Many districts within that 90% of hybrid opened in hybrid with the aspiration of going to full in October, depending on the metrics and depending on whether or not they all have the social distancing ability, etc. I will tell you, I'm breathing a sigh of relief. There are a number of districts that opened this week. And I can tell you, Senator, that the experience has been a joyful one. And I say that without any restraint, because frankly, I think joy's been missing for the last few months. And the kids were so thrilled to be back. And the teachers were really concerned. It was like the eye of the hurricane the day before. What about this? What about this? And then they got back there and realized that it was going to be okay. Things we worried about, such as mask coverings, whether the kids would wear them, turned out not to be an issue. They're wearing them. And kids are very resilient, and they're doing well with that. I'm pleased that that it's gone as well as it has, and the vast majority of districts will open on the 8th or 9th, and we'll see then as well. And hopefully, the metrics will stay low, and we'll be able to stay like this, and begin to open some grade levels in full in October. So that's where we are, Senator. And, John can certainly offer a whole lot at the individual district level.
Thank you so much for giving a great overview there. And it's really fortunate to hear and very optimistic to hear that some of the school districts that have begun a little early so far have reported positive results coming from the learning, that students are wearing the masks, not having much issue with that, and also are comfortable and feel that they're really excelling in their educational opportunities that they're being offered right now, it was so critical. So I thank you so much for that overview. Quickly, I am representative. You're saying senator. I just want to make
I'm so sorry. I'm so
Not
sorry.
a problem.
I'm
Not
sorry.
a problem.
I'm sorry, Representative.
No, don't apologize.
I'm so sorry.
No need to apologize. Just wanted to clarify that. So,
Yep.
Regardless, thank you. That was a great overview. And again, I was so happy to hear that so far we're hearing some optimistic results out of the early beginning of school in the state. So I think now it would be a good time to turn to Dr. Barile and hear from him a little bit about specifically what Brookfield is doing right here in my hometown, and what the plans are. I'm certain that Brookfield is doing the hybrid. As you had mentioned, the hybrid is about 97% of the districts throughout the state are utilizing that plan. And so, Dr. Barile, if you could just maybe elaborate a little bit with specifics about, what the plan is for Brookfield beginning on Tuesday, what the parents and students, and teachers should expect beginning school on Tuesday.
Thanks, Steve. So Representative Harding and former board member, education member Harding, who was on the team that hired me 6 years ago. I don't know whether to thank you or be upset with you, but thank you very much for the opportunity to come to your hometown and serve for into 6 years now, which I can't believe, Steve, it's been that long. It's just amazing. So, and Dr. Rabinowitz needs to be thanked for her leadership.
Absolutely.
As superintendents, you know, there's 160 of us or whatever it is in the state, and you know, leadership's a lonely job, no matter how much support you have. We have a lot of decisions to make, and it's a very, very trying time, worldwide, nationwide, statewide, townwide, etc. The stresses, inconveniences, and frustration on families and workers, they've been well documented, so I certainly don't need to reiterate those. But being able to lean on one another, I'm actually the chair of the Western Connecticut Superintendents Association. Fran joins us every week. We meet on Thursday mornings and have a great chat about anything and everything. With Fran's immediate access to the commissioner and to legislators and so forth up in Hartford, it's very helpful for us to know kind of what's coming down, to be prepared, et cetera. So Fran, thank you for your leadership as well. It's knowing you're there is incredible. You have no idea the comfort you provide. So.
And thank you, John. Thank you for your great leadership in Brookfield. I can always turn to John to get the truth on what would be helpful and what's not so helpful.
You know, while I'm always diplomatic, I'll give you the truth. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So so there's really, I just had convocation actually this morning. All 400 staff members joined us on Zoom. Fran, that's why I missed the board of directors meeting. So we had a convocation, and you know, really talked about the real sense of loss that people had and the real feelings they have, and how we need to think about our legacy was really one of my core messages. But besides, you know, supporting one another and so forth, but really thinking about our legacy as educators, we're needed more than ever. Teachers, paraprofessionals, custodians, maintenance, secretaries, you know, everybody on the team is needed more than ever. The Board of Education, our ripple effect as educators, as employees of the community, not only the impact we have on kids, but the impact on families. You talked about the hybrid model or remote learning. Think of the impact on families and trying to get to work, trying to have childcare, especially for those kids under that, you know, 6th or 7th grade age. That, not that we want to leave kids all alone in the house, but, you know, lower middle school down through elementary school, that's a very tall order for parents. And so we work with the local YMCA. They're providing childcare, you know, for school-age children that are, you know, our employees and so forth. So in general, I really wanted to relay a message, and it's important for everyone to hear that will hear this recording. You know, thinking, I always like harken back to the Greatest Generation and how we all hold the Greatest Generation from World War II. Those kids who grew up with not enough food for years, and then as they approached adolescence, they entered a world war and saved the world, literally, and accomplished so much after that as a generation for our whole country. And so that legacy will live on forever. And we all look back to that as an example. And so I wanted to share that and then bring that back to us. This is a time that we will look back on ourselves, and the communities will look back on us, not only next year or the year after, but for decades. Because what's happened, as we were talking before we started today, everything that's happened, whatever the normal is going to look like in the future, has changed. Things are very different in this country. And so, and in the world, how we're going to approach business, this meeting right here, we would normally do this in person, 3 of us together, and probably tape it rather than doing it through Zoom. So much has changed, and I don't have to get into that. But specifically to Brookfield, we really are, I can't thank the staff enough. The administrative team, the 12 and 15-hour days they put in all summer long, none of us took a real vacation. Very few people took an actual day off where they didn't work 4 to 8 hours, fielding emails, making calls, because the supply chain, as we all know, is a big problem. A lot is manufactured not only in our country, but overseas. And to get single student desks, desk shields, PPE was a really big problem early in the summer. All this hand sanitizer, the pit in your stomach as a school leader to make sure you had the materials with our timeline to open up. We reinvented school literally in March in about 3 days to a week in most districts. Then the summer approached, we got the school reopening plan, and in less than 60 days, all of us in Connecticut have reinvented 3 different options to make sure we can bring our kids back to school. In Brookfield, our goal from the start has been 100% in-person learning. That's how we started the project, and we continue to have that as our target. We're one of the majority districts that's starting the year in hybrid, in concert with the administrative team, the school reopening team, which was inclusive of community members as well as the Board of Education. About 5 weeks ago, as we really started looking down the pike and saying, okay, September is our September 1, September 8th, looking at our school calendar. Are we really going to be ready? We need to be honest with ourselves to be full 100%. And we decided to give parents a long heads up and give them a 5-week lead time that we were going to have to move to hybrid. And so we worked on that plan going forward, gave everybody over a month to figure out their affairs, because the reality, as Fran talked about, if the metrics change in any given week, in any school district, in anywhere in the country, let alone Connecticut or Brookfield, you're going to have a day or two notice as to what the model is going to be as a family and the changes that. So we wanted to give people a large heads up, at least to start the year. Our goal remains, we're not a district that's trying to get to 100% in October. We actually gave ourselves to November 9th as a target date. We wanted to give ourselves a little bit more time. So really give us about 8 weeks where we can have students, staff, families learn all of the new protocols. So what could parents expect? They're well aware of cohort A on Monday and Tuesday, which is about half the students, and cohort B on Thursday and Friday coming in person. On the opposite days, those students will learn remotely. Everyone will learn remotely on Wednesdays. We're lucky right now, we have about 82% of our students whose parents have elected to send them to school in person, and about 18% that are learning 100% remote for the time being. Of course, we have to prepare for any of those students in the 18% to come back at any time. We have to welcome them back. They're our students. So there's a lot there. The other issue is kindergarten. We changed it up a little bit. We elected to start the year with a half-day kindergarten program. So we really wanted an everyday opportunity for our kindergartners, or as close to every day. So the kindergartners are doing an AM, PM cohort, and they're coming in 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. The teachers needed to not only, it's their first school, many of them, it's their very first school experience, if not first, of course, kindergarten experience. We wanted to make sure that they were ready to go. They understand routines, transitions, had a relationship with their teacher, and knew how to use the technology. It's very important when you're home. Even our littlest ones are going to be utilizing technology. Arrival dismissal. I mean, the basic fundamentals of school operations have had to be reinvented. And so I could go on and on, Steve, but I'll let you ask some questions now because I've gone on for quite a while. So
I want to thank you, Doctor, for your summary, and I want to thank you for your leadership during this, and the entire town. You know, all town officials. I know the Board of Ed, under the leadership of Rosa Fernandez as chair, and all the other members of the Board of Ed have worked tirelessly to really craft this plan with the administration, and it is it's a difficult decision to make, because you're really trying to balance so many variables, with obviously the health and safety of the students being the priority. I think considering all the circumstances, it seems like the town has crafted a good plan here for the students, as good as we can have during these really difficult times. John, if you could just elaborate a little bit, what maybe the students and the parents should expect specifically to in-person learning. What's going to be different than when they may have walked in the classroom prior to the beginning of March last year, or this year? Yeah, beginning of March. What's different in the classroom? What's different with their schedules? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, and I'll try to keep it shorter than my long-winded answer before, Steve. But you know, each school level obviously is different. The first thing I'd like to say is and one of our principals the other day talked about it during a public meeting. You know, while things will be different, we'll be socially distant. A lot more technology will be utilized, so we're not handing in as many papers and touching as much. We're trying to mitigate all of that. The school classrooms are still warm and inviting, although kids aren't sitting at round tables and collaboration centers or anything like that. Those days for now are over. And so we're at individual spaces. We're spread out. We actually, today, the delivery of desk shields is coming in. So when students take a mask break, there's still a shield in front of them, or they eat their lunch in their classroom rather than gathering in the cafeteria. I talked about arrival and dismissal. Buses will certainly be less filled because we're in the hybrid, so only half the kids are coming at a time. But we've also encouraged and know that our parents are supportive of working with us, and many parents will be driving their kids to school. So drop-off will take more time, and it's going to take a few tries the first week of school for the principals and faculty and staff to get that routine down and make it more efficient. Kids will walk in hallways. They'll see, like you see at the grocery store, floor stickers, and there'll be signage for respiratory etiquette, hand washing, floor stickers for social distancing, arrows for making sure kids, as we like to say, be polite, stay to the right as they walk down the classroom kind of hugging really close to the wall so we can create that space, or one-way stairwells and one-way hallways. Again, it depends on the facilities. So those are kind of some of the basic things. We'll see a lot more technology. Again, talking about technology and supply chain, all of us are seeing a major delay in trying to get the Chromebooks that we've ordered or the other individual devices. Thankfully, in Brookfield, we are in a good enough place that we could make it work for those parents who have shared that they really do need a device at home. We're very lucky here that our families can support their students and have the means for many of them to have participate in a bring your own device program at the high school. So that frees up some of our district technology to share with those families who either couldn't secure technology or are just less fortunate and don't have the means. So those are some of the big things. Spray bottles, spreading out either in the lunchroom or eating lunch in the classroom are different. A lot of spray bottles of cleaner. More monitors to help monitor students. We actually brought in a supplemental custodial workforce to support our existing custodial staff. So we're economically, we're not trying to develop permanent solutions to what we think is a temporary problem. So we worked with our custodial union, and they supported us and bring in 6 additional custodians to support, so we could be cleaning high touch surfaces during the day. We can clean the bathrooms twice throughout the day rather than once. I mean, everything's had to be ramped up. So whether it's more material, more supervision, more cleaning, it's a really tall order to make this work. But we've risen to the challenge, and the last thing I'll say before I stop is it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I mean, we are literally right now knowing we're probably going to be working through the weekend to ensure that those signs I was talking about are ready. And like I said, the delivery of the shields are literally, the truck may be literally arriving at one of the schools right now. Things still need to be set up. And so we'll do that. And we have staff ready and willing with the principals to make sure that happens. So we're going to do the best we can. I always say nothing's perfect, and we're going to make it work because we're a team. That's what we do.
Absolutely. Dr. Barile, just follow up. Thank you for that summary with the in-school learning. I'm assuming that the remote learning, the 2 days a week that most parents will be having their student learn remotely, I'm assuming that's going to be very similar to the process that we saw through the months of March to the end of the school year, last school year. Correct? Or is anything changing about that?
Yeah, so I'm so glad you brought that part of it up, because that's obviously critical. It's actually the students to start the year will actually be remote learning 3 days a week. So each cohort will be in 2 days a week, and then Wednesday, everyone's there. So it's actually 3 days a week, Steve. Thank you for bringing that up. So not only do we have to have technology access, the big difference between the spring and this year for Brookfield is in the spring, we were what was called asynchronous. So teachers posted assignments, and while they did interact with their students, the students could work on assignments when it was maybe more convenient for parents or something, or the older students, if they were more night owls, they would do their work at night and then sleep in. And so it was very different, although there were certain times you had to meet. This year, we're on a synchronous schedule, so we can actually have live instruction. So you want to talk about something different. It's if you're remote, you still wake up, and although you don't go to the bus stop and get on the bus and go to school, you wake up, and at 8 o'clock or whatever time your first period class is, you're logging in and your teacher's going to be there. And we're doing screen sharing, and we have cameras on the teachers' laptops and things like that. And you're interacting with your classmates. So let's say a class is cut in half. Maybe there's 10 or 12 kids in school, and 10 or 12 kids are learning remotely in that teacher's class. The teacher now has a very different role, because they're teaching the kids in person as well as screen sharing and interacting with the students remotely. And there's a lot that goes into that, a lot of technology, a lot of security, chat rooms, breakout rooms, different things. But the security is really controlled by the teacher, which is great. So the things that happened at some board meetings that people have seen, or for public meetings, or in the spring, you heard some nightmares about certain schools, the Zoom bombing and things like that. It really can't happen because it's all secured by the teacher, totally controlled by the teacher. And we actually adopted some new policies this summer as well for protection of staff and students, in terms of you're not able to take pictures of your screen, you're not able to record, those kinds of things, so we can protect everybody as well. So there's a lot of that. That's
great to hear.
Thanks for asking me to answer that.
Great to hear. Dr. Rabinowitz, back to you if we can. One thing I'm interested in hearing, and I think a lot of parents and students are interested in hearing, is what the statewide guidance is going to be with, God forbid, if we start seeing metrics with COVID in the state or in local areas that may not be positive metrics. Does the state have any guidance on what school districts should be doing if they're seeing that, and what have you heard, and what do you think or foresee in regards to that?
Yes, Representative. I got it right this time. I would say to you that we're working very closely with the Department of Public Health. And what I keep saying to everyone is that the metrics and the decision to move to another type of learning is not an educational decision, it's a health decision. And so thankfully, we have ongoing collaboration with DPH. I work with them at the state level, and Dr. Barile would work with his local Department of Health. I think what we will be looking at is county data, which comes out every Thursday and gives us an idea of where the metrics are within that particular county. Within that, when you see what happened in Danbury, we also have to pay attention to our own particular districts. But it's been wonderful having that data released. And I believe that the Department of Health, together with the superintendents, will make the local Department of Health will make that decision countywide. It may look very different in Western Connecticut than it does in Eastern or South and North. So I don't see it being a statewide decision, at least initially. Eventually, it may become that, but right now, we're looking at the counties. And I can't tell you how important it is to have that ongoing relationship with the local Department of Health. And then for us, we meet on Monday nights for at least an hour and a half. And just to have that ongoing discussion about how this might happen. And also, not to be too lengthy in my reply, but I would also say that's why I think it was a very good idea to put forward a plan that asks districts to be prepared for whatever might happen. So I would venture to say that our districts will be able to seamlessly move to fully remote if, hopefully not, but if that is the case, we're prepared for it.
And I'd like to add to that, Steve, it's important, this will help you right here in Brookfield, since you actually live in town, is I just actually got a text from our medical advisor. So we get this health data, not only by county and state, but by town. And right. So I'll be very candid, the last two to 3 weeks until today, the Brookfield numbers specifically were actually ramping up a little bit, and it was becoming a bit of a concern. I would share it with the administrative team, and it's all public information. Share it with the board members, just so everybody's aware that we're mindful of it. And I actually, Dr. Sullivan, our public health director, and Dr. Ferrer, our medical advisor, I forwarded some updated information to them this morning, and of course they have access as well. And they both got back to me and said we're good to go for Tuesday. Next week, in the hybrid model. And so we're constantly checking that. And I can tell you today that the Brookfield data locally, even though we look at county data to make these decisions, because one small town could have just a couple of cases and it could really blow up the numbers. So thankfully, things in Brookfield have been intra-family, or so it's been isolated. And then I'm just recently finding out there's been some in a very small contained elderly population as well. So it isn't there's no community spread, and we're not really worried about the students right now in any kind of spread. So that's great. And our data actually went down over the last 3 days, based on the calculations from public health. So we're in a good place there. We look at that all the time. So we're ready to go in that regard. But it's really important for everybody to know that as Fran said, this is a public health decision. You call Fran and I, you can say, address us respectfully as doctor. We've done a lot of graduate work and that kind of thing, but we are not healthcare people. We are not medical advisors. We certainly aren't epidemiologists or public health directors. So that is not our wheelhouse. We must lean on the experts. And so the educators are never going to try to be a hero and make these decisions in any kind of isolation or vacuum. And that's important to know.
And it's great, and it's great to hear, and I know and I trust, knowing both of you, that all the decisions that we're making in regards to public health and safety are being done in conjunction with the healthcare professionals who are experts on these issues. We're coming up on, we're actually past 11 o'clock now, and I apologize to both of you for, I know you both have very busy schedules, and I apologize for going a little overtime, but I really just wanted to wrap it up and thank you both Dr. Rabinowitz and Dr. Barile for sharing part of your day with me and the community locally, and really sharing some really vital and important information about what parents and students should expect coming into school as we get this upcoming Tuesday for many locally. I just want to leave the floor to both of you if you guys would like just to make some really quick closing remarks, and we'll complete the recording.
Well, I would just say to you, thank you for doing this, because I do believe that what I have seen during these times is the importance of relationships and building relationships, and the importance of communication. Even when you think you're communicating enough, you're not. Yep. There's always room to improve that communication. So I thank you very much, Representative. And just as I addressed you as Senator incorrectly, I am not a doctor. So I just want to make that clear.
We're both giving each other titles we don't have. So.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to make that clear in the titles. But I have very much enjoyed this. And if I can be of help in any way to communicate what it is that our districts across the state are doing, I'd be more than happy to do that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Fran. I really appreciate it. And I apologize about that.
No, it's fine.
Steve, and I would just say that the last thing is part of the messaging this morning, as we opened up the school year with all of our staff at Convocation is, let's not put a label on the year. I think a lot of people, it's historic and unprecedented and all those things, but, it's going to be a nightmare. It's negative. The kids feed off our energy and our attitude, and it's the way we respond as adults and what we do to care for one another, care for the students, be proactive. I'm eternally optimistic and a very positive person, but I've got to be honest with you, this may be one of the most rewarding and fulfilling years we embark on. We all have this nightmare scenario. We plan for the worst, and we might end up remote, and we don't know. This may be one of the greatest years we've all tackled together. I've seen just incredible compassion and kindness and caring and dedication and grit and determination and will to grind past when people do have their own anxieties and fears, but they exercise courage because they're going anyway. So let's write the story this year rather than trying to predetermine it. Let's do the best we can. And our motto in district is create your tomorrow. We want to personalize that for our kids, and we do it for our adults. It's every day you're creating tomorrow. And it's the actions we take today that will create that tomorrow. So I just thank you for the opportunity. It's great to see you. Always nice to sit down.
Absolutely.
We do have to get a Dr. B special over at the deli soon. We need to get one of those.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very, very good. We need to make sure we get one of those together. I'm buying.
Well, I thank both of you again, and I think that Dr. Barile, I think that was a great way to summarize everything and really put things on a positive note during very difficult times as we move into the next school year here for parents and students. So to all of you, thank you so much for all your hard work. Everyone listening and watching, please be well and safe and healthy. And to all the parents and to all the students, let's hope for a great school year.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Fran.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Thank you. Thank you both.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care.